Nikki, thank you so much for coming on the AIM podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm super, super excited. But before we dive into the good stuff, I have to know, how is 75 hard going? Because I've seen you post about it and I love your post and I've been wanting to try it. I just haven't done it yet. So I'd love to hear how your experience has been with the challenge.
Yeah, so I'm currently on day 30 out of 75. I've been loving it so far. This is my third attempt, actually. So I have failed twice in the past, 2 years
Wow.
ago. And I felt like I wasn't in the proper mindset 2 years ago. I didn't want to stop drinking. I didn't want to push myself and do two workouts. Like it just felt kind of like a punishment back then. So now I just woke up one day, had the mindset of just getting after it, pushing myself, starting something new and challenging myself. So did it on a whim. We're on day 30 now. Time is flying by. It's been so much fun. I feel amazing, so much energy and excited to wake up every day. And I definitely feel like when the 75th day is up, I want to implement a lot of the tasks and just keep moving forward with them in my daily routine.
Dang, that's amazing. That's so cool. It's cool to hear that you're super transparent and honest about this not being your first time through it and that you're pursuing it and obviously with hopes to complete it this time around. But that's super cool.
Thank you. Yeah, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy, but if you have the right mindset, it's definitely achievable.
For sure. For people that maybe don't know or as familiar with it, could you mind like just giving a quick breakdown of what the things are that you're having to complete each day to check off your day for the 75 hard?
Yes. So for 75 Hard, there is an app that helps you keep track of everything to make it super simple if you have a busy day. So for all of the tasks, there's 7 tasks. There's 2 workouts per day.
Okay.
One must be outdoor. So it could be as simple as going for a 45-minute walk, but both workouts must be 45 minutes. I usually do a gym workout or go for a run for one of them. And then JP and I, my fiance, will go for a 45-minute walk either first thing we wake up in the morning or after dinner. And that has been so good for the mental health. It's just felt really good to just keep the body moving and get the steps in. 2 workouts per day. And then you must take a progress photo every day. So you just wake up, take a picture of your body, any angle you want, and you just log that in the app. And then 10 pages of a self help or motivational book. So for me, I am not a big reader. I would rather listen to podcasts. I'm a visual learner. I'm not the
Yeah.
best comprehender. So that's been the most challenging part for me. But I'm currently reading a more female oriented book. It's called In the Flow, and it's about learning about the female cycles and cycle syncing and all of that type of stuff. And then drinking a gallon of water per day, following a diet of choice. You get to choose that is, and then no cheat meals or alcohol. Seems very extensive, but when you really break it down, like taking a photo is so easy. 10 pages takes, for most people, let's just say 30 minutes of your time you set aside to reading. And
Sure.
then if you live an active lifestyle, it kind of just flows.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like with something like that, like for many people listening to the podcast, it might sound daunting or like a little scary. I think it's like one of those things you have to take it one day at a time and not think about the other days. It's like I just need to check everything off today and just focus on today.
Exactly. I feel like the challenge has definitely improved my time management skills the most. If you
Yeah.
don't have time management, you'll find yourself having to do everything last minute and then you get overwhelmed. But if you spread it out throughout your day, the moment you wake up, it's so easy to finish.
Wow. That's what I was going to ask you. I'm glad you brought that up. Like, what are some of the things that you've already like seen from the 30 days you've been doing that have impacted other areas of your life, maybe your business, your fitness, like those kind of things?
I think creating a schedule for myself has allowed me to be a lot more productive throughout my day. Also, having the checklist of 75 hard, it's encouraged me to want to put more things on my to-do list to keep checking more things off. So it's made me a lot more productive in my actual work life because I'm just, as I'm checking off the things for 75 hard, I'm like, you know what? I can put aside another hour of editing this YouTube video today. Or I feel like today's going to be a really fun day putting everything together for 75 hard. Let's vlog it for YouTube. Or
Mhm.
let's feel like I have an hour of free time after my first workout today. Let's get on this podcast with Doug. Like there's so many, you just have so much more energy because you have to stay on, switched on the whole time that you just implement it in so many different areas of your life, especially the business parts.
That's so cool. I really appreciate you sharing that. I hope that you crush it and continue to crush this challenge. And we'll have to definitely keep talking throughout. And I can't wait to hear how it is at the end of the 75 days.
For sure. Thank you.
That's amazing. Well, I'm really stoked to have you on the podcast today. You and I have been friends for a while now. Gosh, it's almost been what, over 2 years now?
Yeah, since I would say what, 2021, summer of 2021. It was
Yeah.
when I really became good friends with Brendan Lucas. That's when we
Right.
got introduced for Playbook.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, 100%. So known you for a while, and I've just been able to see, obviously, we get to hang out, when we're out here in California or whatever, but just see all the success you're having from afar, and you just making such a big impact through social media with the people that you're, creating content in front of, but also with your brand and everything. So I would love to dive into a lot of that. But before we even touch on some of those exciting things that you've been able to accomplish and build, like I would love to hear the story of like what got you into fitness. How did you even get involved with health and wellness and working out? Like, what was that initial kind of story for you?
It's very extensive, and I feel like it's a little bit different than what most people's stories are, but I would say the health and wellness part is what really kickstarted it. So I've played soccer my entire life through college. I played Division II soccer at a small Christian college that was really close to my hometown. I ended up commuting to my college. And throughout high school, I was always playing soccer like 6 days a week. My club team was really good. We were ranked #1 in the nation. We were traveling all over the US, which was a really amazing experience to do at such a young age. And I've never had any issues with body image or none of that. I never compared myself to others and or had any issues with eating because of that. But when I was a senior in high school, all of a sudden, I'll give you the long story short, but I found out that I developed a lot of health issues with my gut due to anxiety. But at the time, I didn't know what anxiety was. I just thought there was something wrong with my digestive tract and all that. But not to be TMI, but I strive to be the platform that I wish I could have followed when I was going through everything at that young age. But I wouldn't go to the bathroom for like 7 to 12 days most weeks. Like it
Wow.
was a really brutal senior year of high school for me. And it was like I was totally fine, had such a fast metabolism, was top tier athlete, and then boom, stopped going to the bathroom. So due to that, I developed kind of like a fear of eating because nothing would go down and I was in so much pain and my priority was to play soccer. So I was like, well, in order to not feel painful or heavy or deal with those like that baggage, I had to figure out how to be the best athlete. And at the time, it was eating really clean and a small amount. So I lost 30 pounds in 1 month, which was very unhealthy and toxic, not promoting that whatsoever. But it definitely opened up my eyes to okay, nutrition. What's healthy for my body? What am I putting in my body? What's hurting me? And I had to backtrack. So after going to several doctors and being prescribed so many different pills that were contradicting each other, like laxatives and stool hardeners and just so many things that were really messing up my gut, I had to take a step back and strip my diet. So that's where my passion for wellness and nutrition came in because I had to be so careful about what I was putting in my body. So when that was going down, that was about 2017. I started my very first fitness page. This is before anyone had a fitness page. Like social media wasn't really, there was no algorithms or anything. It was just if you have a hobby page, cool, good for you. So I started that when I was a senior going into a freshman college, and it was called Nikita Fitness. Like my name's not even Nikita. It was like a little alias. And I posted workouts and recipes, and I developed a love for trying to inspire others to be the healthiest version of themselves. And I ended up getting kind of like bullied for it because it was just different at the time. So I totally deleted the page, like had to go on to Google and figure out how to make that page disintegrate.
Wow.
Wish I stuck with it because, here I am today, essentially doing the same thing for a living. But yeah, so I played through college. It took me about 2 to 3 years to heal my gut once I realized that it was due to pushing down my emotions and not being vulnerable. I used to view vulnerability as a sign of weakness, but now I see it as one of the strongest characteristics to have as a person.
Mm.
If you're sad, if you're angry, if you're frustrated, all of those emotions are totally valid. And if you have to cry or talk about it or journal about it, do it. I feel like it's a lot of people talk down on those who are in tune with their emotional side. And if you don't process your emotions, you can really make yourself sick because your stomach and your gut is your first brain, something I've learned along the way. So yeah, that's a big part of the wellness and nutrition part of it. And like I said, I played soccer growing up, so I've always had that grit and that competitive side of me. And when soccer ended with college, I was like, what's next? So I started lifting, fell in love with that, did all of bulking and cutting for 2 years, and now I just ran my first half marathon, and now I do a lot more like hybrid training. So that was kind of a long story, but made it as short and condensed as I could.
I never want to take for granted like this platform and these conversations because it's so cool to hear everyone has such a different story and like everyone has been through so many different things, and the beauty of like, what we've been able to do with the podcast is share people's genuine, authentic, real, vulnerable stories to hopefully like inspire and impact people listening. And I know the people listening, hearing your story will be impacted. You talk about vulnerability being like a powerful thing that you've learned through maybe harder times. Like I'd love to talk more about that because I think that's something that not a lot of people talk about. I think it's like when you can know yourself, the better you know yourself, the better you're going to be in life because you're like, that is who you are. And so I'd love to hear more about, your thoughts on that because it's such an important thing.
Yeah, so when I was at my peak of being so down with my gut health, I was on this trip in Miami with my family and my dad's cousin's fiance at the time. Bear with me here. It's kind of like a weird family tree. I had never met her, and I was at my lowest point. We're on a family trip. I was just trying to enjoy it. I was throwing up because I was so constipated, nothing would go down. Like it sounds crazy to think that that's even a possibility, but I was just really, really sick and frustrated, and we were at a family dinner, and she comes up to my mom and she's like, hey, like I'm picking something up on your daughter, is there something wrong with her stomach? And I like didn't believe in, I don't want to say psychic, but like she just felt like my energy or something like that. And my mom was like, yes, go talk to her. So she asked if she could talk with me, and at that point I was desperate. I was like, if someone feels like they can sense something about me and they're right about this, like let's have a conversation. So we met that day, and she told me things about myself and my life, about my past and current day, that were so spot on without even me having to say anything. That right there was just, I mean, I really do feel like it was God within her just being like, hey, Nikki, it's going to be okay. I'm going to share with you a little bit of, what can help you through this. And hopefully you can use this and, the story of what you're going through in the future to help inspire others and help others that go through something similar, because it's not an easy topic to talk about. I mean, when you're a 16-year-old in high school, the last thing you want is for people to know that you're constipated or have irritable bowel syndrome. Like those are very embarrassing words, especially with the culture of like not bullying, but yeah, just like getting made fun of at such a young age because people are a lot more immature in high school. So she took me aside and she was like, this person in your life did this with this person and blah blah blah. She said everything without naming names, and that really built my trust. So I asked her, like, what do I do now? What do I do moving forward? She was a firm believer in holistic health, which for those who don't know what holistic health is, essentially it's learning how to heal your body and take care of your body without using prescriptions or drugs or medication and stuff like that, but more so things grown from the ground or healing yourself with the gifts from God, like from the earth. So she told me, don't take any more pills, no more laxatives, no, none of that. Just that's not your issue. That's not going to solve your issue. Your issue is within. So what I struggle with is I push down my emotions. I don't want to be a burden on others by telling them my problems. I hated drama growing up. I just thought, if something bothers me, I'd rather just be like, it's fine, we'll forget about it. I forget about it. But instead of forgetting about it, I pushed it down. And there have been some incidents in my life that haven't been, the best for my mental health. And I just figured I was embarrassed by some of them and I didn't want to come out and speak about them or tell anybody else. So I just pushed them down. And that was making me sick over years. And I had no idea. So she told me to pray to Archangel Michael. And that is one of the angels that is the healer of the sick and the protector of the church. And she told me to pray to him to allow me to forgive the people that have wronged me in my life. I don't have to physically forgive them or be like, hey, Doug, I forgive you for X, Y, and Z, but rather pray to him and allow Archangel Michael and God to set those people free from my heart and just release them and just to bring me peace when I hear their names. And I prayed about it for almost a year. I mean, it wasn't overnight. It took some time. I journaled about it a lot, but the point is to get those emotions and those feelings out. So for those listening, if that's, if you have a strong faith, pray to God, pray to Archangel Michael. If you don't have faith, you could journal about it. You can go to a therapist. You could talk to someone about it, but get it out. You don't want to hold on to that baggage and let it affect your life moving forward, because no one is worth your happiness and your time and your life. This is your life. So set those people free. And now, even though those people have wronged me in the past, I'm very grateful for everything that I've been through in my life. It has shaped me to be who I am today. And when I hear their names, I don't feel any remorse or any discomfort around them. I definitely just feel like I'm in a good place. And that is definitely from being more vulnerable and trusting that God has put every obstacle in my path for a reason.
Wow. That's so good. I really do appreciate you sharing that. I think it's cool because I've heard different people explain this in different ways, but Ed Milet talks about like you're most well equipped to help the person you once were, the person that went through or is going through the things that you once did. And it's like you being able to now, see make it through the hard storm and like be able to help people, share your story, impact people that are going through it today. Like that's a powerful place to be. So like anyone listening who's going through a hard season, know that while it is hard right now, there's light at the end of the tunnel. And once you make it through, keep your head up because you're going to be able to use that to really make an impact, which is bigger than you, and that's pretty fulfilling.
Yeah, and going through those obstacles, think of it as a blessing. I mean, you're being challenged right now, but once you make it through it, it's going to make you so strong, and it's going to direct you in a completely different way than you would have thought, but it's God's plan and where he wants you to end up.
So good. That's amazing. I want to go back a little bit because I'm talking more about your Instagram. So the first Instagram account you make, the side hobby Instagram account, you ended up deleting it. So talk a little bit more about that and like how long did you have that account before you were like, okay, I'm going to shut this down? And also to kind of push it forward, like when did you recreate that Instagram and start making content?
So 2017, that's when I graduated high school. So within that year, I created Nikita Fitness. And Nikita Fitness was a hobby page that was workouts mixed with nutrition. But keep in mind, I had never picked up a weight in my life. So I will say it's nothing like my current page. I was not the most educated in lifting, but I felt like it was a cool outlet and something that I had interest in because, like I said, I was a very competitive soccer player. So I didn't share anything about soccer, but I made recipes. Everything was clean. It was like my oatmeal recipes. I did fruit cakes, like actual cakes made from fruit and like different things like that. And I think that was really fun. It was a cool outlet. It was very aesthetic. And I think I only had like 500 to 1,000 followers, but at the time that was a lot. Like you have to keep in mind this was like a different era. So I had it for about a year, and then what really not triggered, but like what made me so insecure about it was I went on a trip with my friend to visit her boyfriend at the University of Pennsylvania, and we stayed with her boyfriend's like house, and they're all football players in the Ivy League and all that, and they were 3 years older than me. And they found my fitness page, like the worst thing that could have happened to like a 18-year-old girl. And all these big football guys are like, "Oh, Nikki's eating her quinoa and da da da, and her yogurt," and just kind of like it was funny, and they were making light of it, but it still struck a nerve, and I was like, oh, like they know what they're doing in the weight room, and I don't, and I'm like this skinny little girl still going through her stomach things. Like I still was insecure, and I hadn't made it through that phase of my life yet. And then I started posting a little bit less, and then I had met JP, my fiance now, and he loved the fitness page. He thought it was so cool that I was interested in something and pushed myself and just had a motivation in that realm, and he was encouraging me to keep doing it. But then I just had this like embarrassment of putting myself out there in a different way and talking to a camera, and I didn't know anyone that had done something like that.
Yeah.
So I got really embarrassed and I just deleted it. Like, why not just stop using the account? No, I had to go in and make the account disappear, which I regret. No, I mean, I only regret it because it could have turned into something really great. If I stuck with it through 2020, I just know that exponential growth with TikTok and the way lockdown happened and people were looking for ways to stay healthy, like working out and eating healthier. I really should have kept the page, but that's okay because I know, like I said before, God has a plan for everybody. Everything happens for a reason. But through college, I just focused on soccer, and then we can get into the current day and age fitness page. And this is a very interesting story. So I actually had a corporate job before doing all of this full time. And I'll give you guys a story of how all of that unraveled because I did not think I would end up where I am today whatsoever. I graduated college in 3 years. I went to a small Christian college, studied business administration with an emphasis in marketing. And when it was 2019, I was a sophomore going into my junior year. And with the business program, you had to do an internship with like a real corporate company in order to like, fulfill your requirements and graduate. So I got this really amazing opportunity to work or to do an internship with a commercial real estate company in Irvine, which was just really, it was local. And what they did is they buy plots of land, and then they sell the land to home builders, and they essentially build like communities and sports complexes, amphitheaters, amusement parks. Like it was a really cool industry. It was like Disneyland. That's what my dad would call it. He's like, you work at a company that's like Disneyland. Like they treat you so well. It's so fun. we built an entire sports complex for the team. What is it? Galaxy. I don't know if you know Galaxy, but it's one of like the US national team practices at the Irvine Great Park, if anyone listening knows where that is. But worked for a company called 5 Point. And it was so fun because since we had access to like the sports complexes and stuff, we would do corporate soccer games. And it would be like me who is like still playing soccer in college with all of these 50-year-olds, and we'd make these jerseys with our corporate company and play these other teams. So that was really fun. But anyways, I went through the summer of this internship and I absolutely crushed it. It was me with like 11 other guys. Later on, two other girls joined, but for the most part, me and the boys, and then all these really high up executives that are multimillionaires. And it was a really cool environment because it pushed me to, be mature and, not allow them to look at me like I'm just sitting in the peanut gallery with the kids. I wanted them to be at eye level. And at the end of the internship, the CEO offered me and one other a full-time job at this company. And he said, I don't care if you have a degree. I love what you have to offer. I love what you have to bring to the table. Like, you're hired if you want it. And I'm going into my junior year. So I'm like, Mom, Dad, like, this is an incredible opportunity. I'm going to be like, I want this. And at the time I was 19. So I was like going to these events. I couldn't even drink. Not that that's not even in the picture anymore, but it's just, that's where my mindset was. I didn't care to party anymore in a college. That's another tangent if we want to talk about that whole scene. But like I said, I decided that I really wanted to take the risk of working for this corporate job. My dad said, "You're finishing." So I decided to cram 2 years of school into 1 year. And I did senior year and junior year all in 3 semesters. So I took 21 units in the fall, in the winter, in the spring, and then 6 units that summer to be able to finish. And I was working part time 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday of the corporate job, just to make sure I kept my foot in the door. Because I was like, if I say I'm going back to school, I'm gonna lose it. Like they're gonna forget about me. They have big world problems. Like I'm just this little kid. So kept my foot in the door. Thank God I did that because in 2020, as everybody knows, in March, COVID happened. And that was the end of like I was gonna finish school a year early that summer. And I had the 3 days a week for that job. And we ended up school got shut down. I had to finish online. I never walked, never like got to have that full graduation experience. And then I ended up working remote full time for the corporate job. I was the last one hired, essentially a ghost employee. That was such a blessing because I got a job when everybody was getting laid off and just pausing in fear. So I'm very grateful for that. But because I was like this ghost employee who got hired and I wasn't able to like be trained in person and no one knew how to do Zoom and stuff like that, I was just kind of logging my hours. And like I had a really amazing opportunity of just getting paid for doing nothing. And that felt really unethical to me. And it definitely triggered a lot of anxiety for me because I was like, this doesn't feel right. I'm doing nothing. I'm getting paid a lot of money. And so I took all the money that I made and I would just invest it into the stock market. I'm like, well, at least I'm not spending it on like, funny money, buying unnecessary things. I'm like, let's just put this to work and pretend like I didn't have it. And then I started lifting because I was like, I don't know what to do with my free time. I wanted to be active. And then one day my brother and I were playing video games in April and I was like, I want to start a fitness page again, like Nikita Fitness, but I want it to be like real this time. And he was like, you know what? Instead of starting a fitness page and wearing other people's leggings, you should create a brand of your own leggings and wear them in your videos. And I was like, that's so smart. So with all my free time, I found manufacturers, got some samples, and then that July, really quick turnaround, I ended up launching Nikki Font Activewear, just to make it simple, use my name because I didn't have to pay legal fees. No one could come after me because it was my legal name. Did everything kind of backwards, but I profited from my very first launch and then had the fitness page, and then everything kind of unraveled from that start of it.
That's amazing. So when you launched Nikki Fine Activewear, you were still technically working for the company.
Yes, I was. I was working for 5 Point and doing the activewear for about um a year and a half, almost 2 years. I was doing both at the same time.
Wow. So what did that dynamic look like? So you're working a job, you're still training, you're still making content, and now you're launching your own brand. Like how did you kind of sift through that?
Yeah, so okay, this is how my fitness page really popped off in the beginning. It was 2020. I started posting, and this is also some advice to anyone that wants to start a page of their own.
Yeah.
I had a regular Instagram. It was just like my personal Instagram, my friends and family followed me on. And I was like, I want to start posting workouts again. Instead of creating a new Instagram, it's like, let me just post my workouts on this page because I already have like 6,000 followers. So I'm a head start. Let's just turn it into one instead of making a new page. And I was posting content and then my engagement started to go down. And I was like, you know what? I think this isn't working because I'm posting content that people didn't sign up for. They signed up for my personal life just to see, you know, my family, my boyfriend at the time, and they don't care to see workouts. Like, and then I really looked into the analytics of it and the business side of social media. And I noticed that like 80% of my followers were men. I was like, that's not okay. So let's, you know, my goal is women. I want to inspire women. I want to show women workouts and I want to share my story. My target audience is women because I sell women's activewear. So I'm like, let's just start a fitness page. I made like a little announcement. I'm like, if anyone wants the workout still, it's going to be over here on this page. So I started the fitness page in November of 2020. And this guy was a huge influencer trainer. His name is Rave Suave. And he was known as like the booty builder. And he sold his better booty programs to help women grow their glutes and whatnot. So for me, I've always been hamstring and quad dominant because of soccer. I've had like thunder thighs and my glutes just were just kind of there. So my goal was to get more of a proportional body. And so I found his program and then I realized that he posted a giveaway. And the giveaway was to train two people in person. One would be to lose fat, like to drop weight, and one would be to gain muscle mass. And the only thing was that those people had to be okay with him documenting their journey on his page that had like 500,000 followers on Instagram and a million on TikTok. And I
Wow.
wasn't even on TikTok. That wasn't even a thought to me. I was very late to the TikTok game. But I spammed him like crazy on that little account I had with 100 followers. I was like, please, he lived 40 minutes away. I was like, I will drive to you every single day. I will do anything you say. I'll do the meal plan. I'll take photos. I will wear anything. Like, I will be the perfect candidate for like your program. I'll help you promote it. And I don't know if you ever saw my DMs or not. It said unread, but I won. Like out of the tens of
Yeah.
thousands of people that entered the giveaway, I
Wow.
was chosen to be the girl to gain muscle. And I was like, oh my God, my life is going to change. And of course, my fiance and my brother and my parents were like, you have to go to his apartment gym. That sounds so sketchy. Like, that just no. So I was like, I feel so at ease. Like I feel so calm. I feel like this is meant to be. Like, what are the odds that I win this? So one in person, met Rave, super cool guy. Like he still is one of just such an influential mentor in my life. He has taught me all of the fundamentals to what I've implemented into my business now. And he is the type of person that I strive to be like in this industry because he doesn't gatekeep. He truly wants the best for everybody. He's told me all of his quote unquote secrets and he's just told me what's worked for him, what hasn't worked for him. And he even told me we've had a call not too long ago. Like I said, this was almost 3 years ago. We had a call not too long ago, and he was like, I just got to say, he's like, I keep up with all of your content and you're freaking killing it. He's like, I did not think that our conversations in the gym 3 days a week, that you would actually implement them into your own career and become successful. He's like, you're going to pass me up soon. Like you're really doing the dang thing because that's not easy. He's like, I thought you were going to be all talk. This is girl that comes in trying to get a little body and then, you know, says she's going to start a business and whatnot and all that. So he would record the videos, the workouts, and I asked him, I was like, hey, can you airdrop me all the recordings that you take on your phone just so I can have them for myself? And he's like, yeah, for sure. So I had this idea and I'm like, what's the quickest way that I can grow on social media? It's exposure, it's collaboration.
Mm.
So I found this little tactic where I would do challenges like see 10 push-ups, do 10 push-ups, or see a chug, send a chug. And then I would tag like 10 girls or guys that were in the same space as I was in, and that would encourage them to repost my story and then do it and create like a chain. So then all of the eyes from their pages would see me because they would repost me on their story, and then people would be like, oh, this girl looks a lot like the current girl I'm already following, why not just follow her? So that's essentially what I did with Rave. I made stories and tagged him, and I was like, hey, for anyone that wants to see me do Rave's program, I'm doing it 5 days a week. I'm going to post every single day on my page. Follow me because he only posts 1 day a week, and I'm going to post 5 days a week. And so that really encouraged all of his followers that did his programs to see a real girl that was really trying to push herself the same way that they were, that was completely relatable, posting on her page. And I quickly grew to like 3,000 followers in probably that first month. And it was all women, and it was women that were encouraging me. I was encouraging them, and it was a really cool community. And one thing led to another. I just kept implementing different skills that I've learned from a lot of different people. I ended up signing with my first company, which was Beam. You Can Beam. It's a supplement company. I no longer work with them, but that was a very unique opportunity. They saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself in the very beginning. Met a lot of awesome creators along that line, and it like got on TikTok eventually, March of 2021, and that ended up growing really quickly. But sorry, that was a tangent. But to go back into 5 Point and what I'm doing now, I worked with 5 Point and I only had a couple meetings a week. So I finally came to the realization where I'm like, I don't need to sit by a computer, 24 hours or, 8 hours a day, just waiting to finally get an email. I'm going to go live my life. And if they need me, I told my manager, I said, hey, this is my personal phone cell because you guys never gave me a work phone. Text me if we have a meeting or email me on my phone and I'll be there. But like, I don't want to wait around my computer because I don't know how to get an email on my phone. So that's the summer I really became friends with Bryn and Lucas, and they were living up in LA. And I would probably go to their house or their apartment like 2 to 3 days every week. And I would stay the night there. The guest room, the room, the high ceiling,
Yeah.
like super
Such a
dope
great
spot.
apartment.
Yeah, it was so sweet. And my fiance was in the military for 4 years. So he was gone that entire summer for 7 months. Those are entirely different struggles we had been through. But Bryn was such a huge part of my life during that time. I was in a really dark place with him being gone and not being able to communicate with him for 3 out of the 7 months, like at all. And she was a big light in my life. And so was Lucas. But to
Wow.
put it in perspective, I would just bring my laptop with me for 5 Point, my corporate job, up to LA. We would create content, go to the Wish House, go to Zoo Culture, go to Earth Cafe, the beach, just kind of do our own thing. And if we had meetings, they were in the same boat where they're like, let's just find a coffee shop, let's post up, let's work. We can work on anything we have to do because we all kind of own several businesses in itself.
Yeah.
And that kind of became my routine. But yeah, and then just to summarize, last thing, 2022 in April, I ended up getting laid off from that corporate job. And that was another really dark time where I was really praying to God. I'm like, God, do I apply to another corporate job for the safety of having a stable income paycheck? Or do I, lock in and really pursue my business, content creation, and my fitness app and try to make something out of this? And I prayed about it for a while and I was really lost. I hadn't really taken off yet. I was doing well, but it wasn't enough to match my corporate income. And I was like, I think this is what I need. I think I need to start taking myself more serious and really put it first. So I did that, never looked back. Now I take it so serious, and I now bring in almost double what I would bring in with my corporate job. And I think that's just, it's crazy. I definitely work 50 times harder than I did at the corporate job, but it's nothing's more rewarding than being your own boss.
Yeah. You're building your own thing and you're helping people do it. It's super cool.
Yeah, it's been a really amazing experience. It's been a roller coaster. It still is a lot of unknowns, but I am obsessed with the journey, and that's the best part.
That's so cool. I want to ask, because I always, we've had a ton of founders on the show. Like, what was it that actually got you to, I know you talked about your brothers, like, hey, you should just wear your own leggings and your content. If you're going to make it, like, you might as well wear your own thing. But like, was there something that sparked you to be like, I want to own my own brand? Like, was there something deeper there? Like, was it exposure to other entrepreneurs, or like, what was that kind of initial just like desire to start something of your own?
So the first person that got me really into fitness and like doing fitness pages and stuff is her name is Tammy Hembrow. Do you know who Tammy Hembrow is?
It sounds familiar. I'm not 100%
She's
sure.
Australian, and she's definitely,
Okay.
since I found her, she's gone a little bit more on like the OnlyFans route, unfortunately. But at the time, she had two kids really young when she was like 20, and she started a fitness line and named it after her daughter. And she has like mommy programs where she created programs during maternity and then afterwards, postpartum. And I just thought that was really inspiring that she was able to have such an impact on the female community and help women through, body dysmorphia after having kids. And she had a brand where she was helping inspire women just, feel good in the gym. So when I first started lifting, I loved her, everything that she kind of stood for on like the business side of it. And I tried wearing activewear. And at the time, the Gymshark that I had bought, it just didn't make me feel good. It was the leggings went way too high. If you're a female listener here, you know a lot of their leggings go like up to your boobs. Like it's kind of defective, and I
Mhm.
didn't feel like confident in it. And a huge part of me starting my own brand is that I wanted women to feel comfortable and confident in and out of the gym to wear things that supported them. Because I'm a little bit like, I have more of a muscular build. I have an actual chest and bust size, and I can't wear those teeny tiny little sports bras that these girls can go run in. It's like I have to wear something supportive. So my goal was to create something supportive that actually looked cute and aesthetic rather than the Nike sports bras that I had to wear before that were the only thing that I felt, secure and supported in, but I didn't feel cute in it. I had to wear a huge t-shirt over it to make it look somewhat better. And so I created Nikki Fun Activewear to help women feel comfortable and confident. I created an ambassador program. Now we have well over 500 girls a part of that community in Discord, which is absolutely amazing to see them come together and meet each other in real life because they get to, they have a lot of things in common, and to see the girls wear the activewear and watch them go from buying only leggings to wearing shorts. Not that they have to wear less or anything like that, but I've just watched them grow in their confidence, and I've watched them create their own fitness pages because I've inspired them to do that. And they wear Nikki Fun Activewear, and they have a code to share with their friends, and they only have 100 followers, but they feel a part of something. They don't feel excluded or that they're not cool enough or popular enough to work with a brand. So definitely doing it for the masses and for the local girlies, the girls that truly matter and probably have the best morals and standards and values, but don't have a platform because they don't post revealing things to get the attention. Like, it's so hard to get noticed nowadays, and there's so much talent out there and such amazing girls and women and even men, but they don't get to show that because they don't get seen on the algorithm.
Yeah. That's a crazy story of how it all started. And it's so cool to see, hearing those stories and seeing where we are today. And it can be an issue for some people because they don't know all that context. They just see where we are today, like, oh, it must be nice to have, be in this position, have 500 ambassadors, whatever. But obviously it was all those things that led up to this point that got you where you are. What was like an early story or like a lesson you learned? I always love asking this question because this is super, super valuable for listeners. Like, were there any like glaring mistakes that were made or just like lessons that you learned like the hard way from starting a business?
Oh yes. Oh yes. So there's something I'm dealing with right now, which I'll get into at the end of this, but I did not know how to use the postal service. I used to, this is how I used to fulfill orders. Let's say Doug ordered a shirt. It would go through Wix. First of all, I used to use Wix.com, if you know what that is. It's just the worst website. It just it's like a website platform where most websites you go to for brands, they use Shopify. It's just the best one. It works for e-commerce, and it's really, really well done. I used to use Wix, which is mostly tailored for like blogs and not to sell things, but just kind of like show a cute website of like whatever you want to make on it. I
Mhm.
used Wix. That ended up just being horrible. Had to migrate over to Shopify, basically had to redo everything after a year of work because I'm like, there's no bandwidth to keep all of my variants and inventory and get these orders. And it wasn't top quality. So mistake number one was getting onto Wix and not doing Shopify. Number two was I did not know how to use the post office. So I would print out the orders. Actually, I would get an order and I would type in someone's address into Google Docs. Like, I'd physically type Doug Elks, like 1234 West Lane, like whatever. I would type them into this template, print them out on white copy paper, and then I would cut out the little label and I would tape all four corners onto a package. That
Wow.
took so long. And then I would drive the orders in a 50-mile radius. And on top of that, I didn't trust my very first manufacturer. I didn't trust them enough to do my logos. So let's say Doug ordered a pair of leggings. I would take the blank leggings to my local cannery, wait 30 minutes for them to print the logos onto them, pay like $10 for a logo. Are you kidding me? They should cost like 10 cents. And then I would go drive a 50-mile radius to go drop everything off after all that work. So to fulfill like 10 orders would take me probably like an entire day's worth of work and driving and gas money. I wasn't profiting at that point, really looking back at what I was spending.
It's those moments though that make you just appreciate
Oh
how far you've
yeah.
come and like That is so crazy. But it's everyone, if I don't care who you are, if you're first getting into business, you have those stories. Like,
And you have to start from the bottom. It makes you
yeah.
grateful. It allows you to keep
Yep.
growing and learning. And, it's never going to be perfect. And if the old Nikki could see where I am today, she would be blown away. But the current Nikki is like, there's so much more in store. Like, you'll never feel fulfilled. And I think that's where you find the most success is when you never settle and you don't get comfortable.
What do you think drives you?
I my biggest goal in life is just to serve others. I mean, I pray about it all the time, even with my fitness page, but before I really was focusing on my brand, I would just pray that God instills positivity in me and kindness and that he fills me with his light so I can shine his light through me onto others and just make a new person's day every day. Nothing in the world feels better than putting a smile on someone's face or getting that one message that tells me that I inspired them to do something or I encourage them to do something. And it's not about a popularity contest. I mean, my engagement's all over the place, but I do it for a one new person a day. If I can inspire or help one person in the day, my job is done. I mean, that's the goal. If I can't do it through social media, I pray that God reminds me in the day if I happen to forget that he fills my heart and he's like, "Hey, do something for someone right now." Whether it's a compliment, holding a door, giving a lemonade stand, $5 for something that costs $1, like just going a little bit above and beyond, like you always say, be 1% better. What's
Yeah.
something a little bit extra you can do? That's what my driver is just truly to serve others.
Let's go. You're getting fired up over here. I'm ready to go. Um, it's cool though. Chris Bumstead was talking on a podcast I listened to, and he just talked about, he's won however many the last few Mr. Olympias, I think 4 in a row or something crazy. Just the peak of bodybuilding, like one of the largest fitness influential people in the space, and all the success and all the money that comes from that. And he's like, dude, it doesn't like it's great. I'm grateful for it, but like it's not what's driving me. And I think you hear that from a lot of successful people that are starting brands that are succeeding and people that are succeeding in like whatever they're doing. But it's if you have something that's bigger than yourself that's driving you, that's where there's the longevity. That's where there's actual fulfillment. And that's where you're really making an impact that will last and not just be gone in an instance.
Definitely. And you can't focus on the materialistic things because it's
Yeah.
never going to be enough. I have so many friends that, you know, there's all they've wanted is to make, get that promotion or make this much money. And they're making the money now and they're traveling. And they're like, I still just don't feel fulfilled or happy. And in the back of my head, it's like, because you don't have faith. And I mean, I'm not saying that if you don't believe that there's anything wrong with that. Like everyone is entitled to believe what they want and, have their opinions on everything. But in my heart and in my mind, if you don't have faith, you're never going to be satisfied. Like that is the hole and that void inside of you that won't be filled unless you have that. And when you have the mentality of putting good out into the world and doing it for a greater cause rather than just the money, that's when the money will come. That's when the people will see that you're doing this because it's a passion, it's something you love, and they want to support you. If you do it for the money and the followers, people are going to see right through that and you're not going to grow. That's what I've seen that's what's helped me get to the point where I am today of being so successful in what I'm doing. I mean, like I said, there's always room for improvement. I'm down on myself. Sometimes I struggle with comparison. Like I'm not a perfect person.
Yeah.
And, I pray that God reminds me that he put certain gifts in me for a reason. And my gifts are different than your gifts, but they're just as special because it's what we do with those gifts to help serve others on this planet. And, there's tomorrow's not, it's not promised. So it's what you do today. And yeah, I love humans, I love people and I love connecting with people. And I always pray as well that God puts more like-minded friends in my life. And that's why I'm so grateful for you, for Brinley, Lucas, Bronson, Kylie. I mean,
Go.
JP, I have a bunch of friends now where I really do feel like God put them in my life. And it's crazy because they don't live here. Like we all live in different states, but in some way, shape, or form, we're still able to come together and all meet each other and hit it off and have the same stories and values. And, we had completely different upbringings. But that's really what I live for and what I love.
Let's go. That got me fired up again. I'm super pumped by all the stuff you're saying. I want to know though, what are your future goals? Any exciting projects you're working on? Anything you want to share, whether it's personally in your own journey or through Nikki Fine Activewear? Like, what are some exciting things that you can share with the audience?
So for my activewear company, Nikki Font Activewear, like I said, I started it when I was thinking a little bit more closed-minded. I was like, what's the cheapest route I can go with this? Because it's more of like a fun side hobby. Named it after myself. I am working on rebranding, changing the name. I've been wanting to do it for almost a year, praying
Wow.
on it a lot because if I change it once, one and done. We're not changing it more than once.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really relying on God to put that word in my mind and in my heart that, it fits the like my mission statement, if you will, what the brand stands for. What I'm grateful for is that I do have a community already. And I know that we all stand for like the same thing of what the brand was built on. So I have a word that's in mind. I did buy the domain. I secured the handle and everything. So we're still in the
Oh,
works. I'm still working on all the marketing parts of it, but I am fired up about it. Like I feel like with my name, it's just tough. Like a girl will come up to me at the gym and be like, I love your biker shorts. What are they from? Oh, it's Nikki Fun Activewear. It's actually my own brand. And they pull out their phone, like, it's Nikki, what? How do you spell that? And then I lose them. And I'm like,
yeah.
okay, I'm tired of just being a little influencer brand. Like I see so much more on the horizon with it, and I wanted to just kind of take a little bit away from me. Like I wanted to be more of a standalone and hold a broader name for an umbrella for more things underneath it. So that will come by the end of this year. The goal is to launch it by the end of this year, and I'm so pumped for it. That is on a business standpoint. Relationship wise, I am engaged to JP. We got engaged on the
No,
last day of March, so we're now planning a wedding. We
dude.
just we just planned, what is it? We locked in a day. We are doing 7/7 of next year, so July 7th.
Wow.
And we got a venue. Thank you. Yeah, we're really excited. So I mean, that's a whole other planning process on top of everything that I do business wise. Those are the two biggest things I would say that are, of value to talk about.
Wow. Well, first, congrats on both of them. Congrats on the
Thank
rebrand.
you.
I cannot wait to see what you come up with. You're such a
You'll
creative.
love it. It's very up your alley. You'll like it.
Let's go. Let me know how we can support you and help you. And I love JP. So those are two really exciting things you have coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, and with I guess I will also say this with us getting married soon, we're trying to figure out where we want to live because we both still live at home with our own families, which is, it's great to save money and whatnot, but we're trying to just, flourish in our relationship. So I
Yeah.
think we're gonna pull the trigger and end up moving to Dallas. It's between Dallas and Destin, believe it or not. So
No
we're gonna,
way.
yeah. So
That's
we visited Kylie and Bronson, absolutely loved it. House hunted there. Visited Brinley and Lucas, house hunted there. And it's so tough when you're in the moment because you're like, this, I can afford this house and I want it right now. But then, it's a different state. So yeah,
yeah.
we're figuring that out. But between those two places for sure, that's where
Those
we're
are,
at.
those are two good states, Texas and
Yeah.
Florida. States, so I feel like you can't go
Yeah.
wrong. But
Yeah.
that's awesome. I want to wrap this up with one just final question of just you just giving us all your wisdom and value. Like this is a standard question, but I think it could be good from your perspective and all the things you've learned. What is that one piece of advice that you would give yourself if you were like talking to younger Nikki, just getting started? Because I think we have a lot of entrepreneurs. We have a lot of people that like are interested in entrepreneurship and just this whole space. Like, what's that one piece of advice that you would give to you just getting started that you've learned throughout your journey?
I heard this quote on Alex Hormozzi's YouTube, and it's just stuck with me since. He said, you have to look at life in the lens that you're 80 years old, that you're living in a day and age where you're currently the youngest and healthiest version of yourself. What would you do different? You have a second chance of life. So right now I'm 80 years old. I'm looking back. I'm in the Nikki's body where I'm on Doug's podcast right now. I'm 24 years old. I own a business. I'm able to do a rebrand. I can still walk. I can still breathe on my own. I'm healthy. I'm engaged. I live with my family. How would you live life right now? And I have chill bumps just thinking, I mean, I love that quote because you only have one life. And I feel like it goes by so fast. And right now, sometimes you think it's too late to start that business or start that fitness page or whatever it is you want to do. It's not too late. It's never too late. My uncle also just turned 50 the other day and he just signed up for a marathon and he's been training and trying to, reverse age
Oh,
himself. And he's doing such an amazing job at it. He's inspiring me. It's just really, you know, life is short. You can do so much with it. Believe in yourself. That's the biggest thing I could say.
I
Have
love it.
faith in yourself.
I love it. Nikki, this has been such a legendary conversation. Thank you for coming on the AIM podcast. I am super grateful for you and our friendship and all the cool things you're doing. So I'm super pumped that we made this happen and you came on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm absolutely honored. I was so happy when you asked me.
Let's go. We will be excited to get this out to our community very soon, and they will, I'm sure, be really, really excited about it. So thank you again for coming on the show.
Perfect. Thank you for having me.